Good evening and welcome to the June 9th Planning Commission. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Adam?
Here.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Grumney?
Here.
Commissioner Lund?
Here.
Chair Reynolds?
Here. Public comments. I have one public comments card. If you'd come forward and state your name and city of residence. Mr. Nick Iqbal Kidway.
I begin in the name of God, who is most merciful, my name is Nick Iqbal Kidwai, I'm a resident of Newbury Park. Last time I checked, Vice Chair, I think Barry Fisher, Vice Chair, I don't know. Mr. Fisher, still Director of Concerned Citizens of Thousand Oaks, a small group. Coming here to congratulate the citizens of Thousand Oaks for seeing through the sham that was the so-called Measure B for bad boys. Even though some of our friends were really not the best friends in the sense of the Doomsday Report, I don't know why we have to go to such extremes to get away from the truth. It would really have been very bad for this city if the measure had passed. And I'm very disappointed that some people from the podium and some former planning commissioners came out against it, and much more disappointed in the majority of the planning commissioners and the city council people who were scared of these so-called slow growth people and did not come out forcefully and take a stand. You know, I mean, this is the supervisor, and this is a council member, and this is a good doctor who delivered my grandchild at Los Robles, and he has the twins and was willing to throw the dice regarding the hospital. And they believe that a lot of people believe that people don't have the time and they will not read the important things that are there. One of the provisions which are really pertinent to the Planning Commission is that, which was never talked about or written in the letters, and I tried to throw some light on it, that you have the ultimate authority on many of the cases, maybe one of the cases tonight, where your decision is the final. So that's the end of the line. But with the measure, every decision would have to go to the city council, and then the other step of going through a campaign. And time is of the essence. I mean, in fact, I asked at a meeting, and I will ask the Planning Commission again, that we have a much bigger project going on in my neighborhood, which I love, which is the Costco project. But it won't see the light of day of the Planning Commission. In fact, I've been stopped by some Costco employees and told I was hoping that to be saving money on gas soon, but that it won't be coming on board this year. Because the city, that's the problem. These are the real issues that these so-called slow growth people or one-bite, sound-bite people do not address, is that this city is so hard to deal with for the businessman, so hard to deal with the homeowner. That's the real issue. That's been the issue since day one. That's not good planning. That's not good land use issue. But there are the other people who support the Doomsday Report that think that the staff does no wrong. So I ask again, as to have a report on this Costco project, which is 140,000 square feet, if you can, and change the rules so that these things do not go through without a hearing, so that when you have a bank at where the Sports Chalet is on Moore Park Road, and the bank closes and a Taco Bell comes in, that administratively, without a hearing over the counter, this can be done. I mean, this is the kind of the thing that needs to go before the Planning Commission. rather than some of the mundane things that come before the commission. In fact, since your agendas are so lean, I would ask that you should go to a monthly meeting rather than a bi-monthly meeting. Because even at the last hearing, I think you had just one case, and I think there was even talk of postponing it. And it costs a lot of money. I've said before also, this hall is too big. I mean, in this day of the energy crisis with $5 a gas over our heads, you should use the boardroom all the time, unless you have a lot of people. And I remember the chair saying in one of the hearings when you had there that the overflow crowd went to the room next door. It's a small price to pay. I mean, we do not want to waste our national or world resources like this. This is the bag that I put all this garbage. I mean, people throw it away, but I consider these souvenirs, and I keep. This is all Measure B stuff. I mean, this is $1 million. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue on with the agenda to Mr. Town. Did you have any comments made regarding the supplemental?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And also, just in response to one of the speaker's comments, the Costco project will be heard by the Planning Commission as both a development permit entitlement and a special use permit entitlement for a gas station that is proposed there. So that case will be heard by the Planning Commission. Staff is working on actually the final refinements to it, so just wanted to clarify that. Secondly, tonight there is a supplemental packet with one new condition for the first case, Aldersgate, case 6A. It includes a condition that was referenced in the staff report regarding retaining walls, but inadvertently left out of the list of actual conditions. So that is the one item in your supplemental packet. And that's all I had at this time.
Thank you. Will the secretary please open the hearing?
Hearing advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider agenda item 6A regarding case RPMJ 2008-70073. Applicant, Aldersgate Investments, LLC, request to allow revised manufactured slope angle from 2:1 to 1.5 to 1 and increased manufactured slope height from 25 feet to 34 feet for one slope in northwest corner of property. Location 1501 Ramona Drive, northwest corner of N2 Park Road and Ramona Drive. Recommendation approved with conditions.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Reinke. Will you give the staff report, please?
Chair Reynolds and members of the commission, as the secretary just stated, the request is to allow a revised manufactured slope angle, the steeper slope angle from the 2:1 that was approved to a 1.5 to 1, and also to allow a greater height from 25 feet to 34 feet. The Planning Commission approval is required because the slope angle does exceed the 2:1 slope angle, and the 25-foot height. It should be noted that until the early 1990s, the 1.5 to 1 angle was the city standard, but was changed at that time because a lesser 2:1 angle made maintenance of the slopes much easier for the homeowners. The manufactured slope grading was analyzed, and the mitigation measures were provided in the mitigated negative declaration that was adopted for tract 5377. And no further environmental review is required. Before you is an aerial of the site, and the slope is located in the upper part of the slide. At the top of the slide is the Motel 6. And Behind the Motel 6, there is a manufactured slope. It's 47 feet high, and it also has a 1.5 to 1 slope angle. Some background: in 2006, the Planning Commission approved vesting tentative track 5377 and RPD 2006-70264 for the construction of 82 residential units. Track 5377 required written authorization for minor off-site grading on the knoll in the northwest corner of the property from that adjacent property owner. Minor off-site grading on the knoll was necessary to provide the 2-to-1 slope angle and a 25-foot high manufactured slope. The applicant has been unsuccessful in obtaining the necessary off-site grading authorization from the adjacent property owner, Motel 6. Revised manufactured slope angle is, as previously stated, 1.1 to 1, and the slope height is 34 feet. Here is a view of the northwest corner of the property from Ramona Drive, and it shows the knoll. Okay, and here's a view from the knoll, of the knoll from Ventu Park Road, and then to the right is the slope on the other side of the Motel 6. Here's a site plan of the property. In the upper left-hand corner is a slope area. The evaluation: special circumstances applicable to the property warrant approval of the increased slope angle and height. The approved project is already at a significantly lower density than that provided by the zoning. 3.1 acres of open space are to be dedicated to the Canale Recreation Park District, and the project provides affordable housing units. The applicant has provided correspondence from the project engineer and landscape architect demonstrating that the permanent slope stability can be obtained at a steeper angle, and that slope planting can be maintained. The manufactured slope is in a common area to be maintained by the HOA. The slope visibility and design: the slope will not be visible from public streets due to intervening residential buildings on the site, and the terraced 6-foot high retaining walls at the base and top will match the other retaining walls in the complex. The slope will be densely planted with native trees and shrubs, and as I previously indicated, there's an existing 1.5 to 1 slope on the north side of the knoll and it's 47 feet high, that was approved as part of the approval of the motel that is now Motel 6. And staff recommendation is that the Planning Commission approve RPMJ 2008-70073 based on findings and subject to conditions contained in the staff report. And staff is available for any questions.
Thank you. Questions to staff? Commissioner Fisher?
Yes, Mr. Rinke, I'm not sure if this is for you or Mr. Town. Wasn't this previously owned by Syntex, at least when we approved the project?
That's correct.
So it's been sold?
Actually, Syntex was actually purchasing the property from the current applicant, who is the owner of the property.
Okay. On page 4, you cite as one of the findings for approval is that the proposed changes in slope design will enable the property to be reasonably developed. Just for clarification, I thought we did that last meeting. So that's, I don't know if that's a question or a statement. Why the revise after what we went through over a year ago?
It's basically because of it's a very minor amount of grading that was proposed, and normally applicants are able to obtain approval to do that grading. In this particular case, the project that was approved by the commission, it was the second submittal. The first project had been recommended for denial, and they had submitted a second project that was approved. And at that time, they hadn't fully obtained the approval for that off-site grading from that property owner. And and then also to kind of, if the 2-to-1 slope were to still be imposed, the applicant would lose possibly up to 3 units.
If I can add a little bit more to that, excuse me. This was a project, you'll recall, that it was kind of almost like a joint effort. This was a project where we had a lot of community meetings. The residences surrounding the area came and discussed what it was they were looking for the property. This was a project that the Community Development Department sat down with the developer and tried to work out a project that would be both supportive by the city and also supportive by the residents. The off-site grading that was envisioned, as Mr. Rinke says, was going to be very minor, and typically developers are able to get this off-site grading agreement done with neighboring properties because it wouldn't leave any permanent scarring to the off-site property. In this case, the developer worked for many months, and including the Department of Public Works also worked for many months trying to get the agreement with the other property owner for the off-site grading. They were unable to reach resolution, and as Mr. Rinke said, if we didn't modify the project to allow the change in the slope and the change in the manufactured height, it would result in possibly a loss of 3 sites. And given the fact that this was a really unique situation where we did have so many parties trying to develop this property, and there is an affordable housing component, staff believes it's not unheard of to support this minor deviation.
Okay, I guess since you brought it up, were the residents contacted, besides the typical noticing of this change?
I think it's just the typical noticing that was set forth. You had the signage and the notices.
The signage, and I had one conversation with one of my contacts in the association and informed him early on of what the request was. Okay,
and one last question. I think I already know the answer to it. You also mentioned which will include affordable housing. Does that open it up again, or are we strictly just talking about the slope?
We're strictly talking about the slope.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Commissioner Lund?
Good evening. We have eliminated by previous approval based on staff reports or we're looking at tonight if this project gets approved that we would eliminate 3 building sites. If it's denied, okay, that's okay. And also thank you, Councilor. And also the second question I have was, in no way does this impact the dedication of the 3.1 acres to the Conejo Rec and Park District?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Grumney?
I'm also trying to refresh my memory on the previous time that we had it approved. I thought on the previous one that there were going to be fees in lieu of affordable housing, and now we're seeing the affordable housing back. My first question is curiosity, what was going on with that?
I believe Mr. Town could answer that.
Thank you. The applicant in this case will be building 6 affordable housing units on-site and will be providing in lieu fees to construct 4 very low-income units off-site. So it's a total of 10 units that they would essentially be providing.
Now, that was his request, or was that something that we asked for?
I believe that was a result of the negotiations between the city and the applicant.
Okay. The other question that I have is in regards to the change of the slope, because originally when the city changed that, the concern was maintenance of that slope for the homeowner. Am I understanding it correctly that it's staff's position that we're not concerned about that because the homeowners association is going to maintain that slope? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I have Mr. Mitch Kahn. He's the main speaker for the applicant. If you come forward, state your name and city residence, and you have 15 minutes, Mr. Kahn.
Thank you. My name is Mitchell Kahn, and I'm the attorney for Aldersgate Investment, and I live in Thousand Oaks. And one thing I might want to tell you is I live in the Lindmere tract, and the slope behind my house, which goes up a lot farther, is a 1.5 to 1 slope. And I go up there every other week to maintain it and take care of the weeds for the fire department, and I don't have a problem. The good part about this particular change, as it turns out, the original proposal was to lop 10 feet off the top of that knoll and use about 3 or 4 retaining walls on the development side to create the 2 to 1 slope. By leaving it the way it is, it will look exactly the way it is at the same height that it is today, and there'll be 2 retaining walls on our development side. So we're actually doing a lot less to it than when it was originally approved. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Questions of the speaker? No. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
And the second card I have is Mr. Nick Idbal Kidway. If you'd like to come forward and state your name and city residence. And you have 5 minutes.
Nick Iqbal Kidwai, resident of Newbury Park and Director Concerned Citizens of Thousand Oaks. I also rise in support of this project and this change. I am glad that some commissioners are concerned about resident input, and I spent about half an hour taking pictures and some video to show, but at the last moment I had some fire to take out in my job, and so I haven't even had a time to look at the pictures, but I ran to the meeting because I thought that it would be good to attend the meeting and give the input, and the pictures are not that important. I don't know if any of the planning commissioners took notice that we are basically talking about the part of the project that is closer to Newbury Road. And the sign is across from Ramona, and most of the people that drive in that area that would like to know what is happening stop at the light. It used to be a stoplight at Ventu Park and Newbury Road. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand why a sign is not put where more people can see it than less. I've had a manager stay at the Motel 6, and I've done some business, some phone calls in the rooms that are next to the knoll. And one of the problems with Motel 6 is that it's generally very noisy, and there's truck traffic and all that. But it was so nice and silent, it still is in the back. That's one of the advantages of the knoll. But once again, I think, and somebody in the Planning Commission really should address this issue, is that, and I'm glad that the applicant did not take a stronger position, but in the name of protecting the views and vistas that this beautiful valley is famous for and is beautiful, is that this is a misuse of land use issues to require all these rules regarding these so-called knolls. And one of the things that I did was, I know there was a lot of flack regarding some of the knolls that were cut next to the post office where Sleep City used to be. And I went there and examined the project a little bit more. And it's a beautiful job that the developer and the staff have done as a team. By building it, it's 3-tiered, that's what it is. And I did not even realize it until I looked at it today a little bit more carefully. And so just to not allow chopping off knolls because we are Thousand Oaks and we protect our hills is not just the answer. Once again, the devil is in the details, and the reason I am concerned about this thing is that the owner of the property should be allowed, if not maximum, but at least reasonable use. And the thing that comes to my mind is, I'm sure the planning commissioners are aware of it, is that the project that was on the boulevard next to Erbs Road, that had to cut into the hillside, and it took 1 year of blasting to cut that hill. And the reason it was feasible, and the reason this might be feasible now and not at the earlier time, is because of economics. It costs a lot of money to do these kind of things, and you have to see how these things pencil out. Unfortunately, government, and I know you folks, especially Planning Commission, are not supposed to look at the economic impact, but it's the economic impact that drives the community. It drives everything. I mean, whether we like it or not. Supply and demand, these things are beyond people's realm of control. And I would just ask the planning commissioners to take a look at this project and others and look at some of the rules that you have, which are so onerous for developing the community, and projects like this which are coming towards build out. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. We'll go back to staff. Do you have any additional comments, Mr. Reinke?
No additional comments.
Commissioners have any additional comments? Questions to staff? Then I go back to Mr. Mitchell-Kahn. You have 5-minute rebuttal. Okay. Does he need to come forward? Okay, thank you. Then I will close the public hearing. At this time, commission discussion, motion. Commissioner Fisher.
Yes, I'd like to move approval of this request, RPMJ 2008-70073, based on the findings and subject to the conditions in our report. I think this is a very reasonable change to the property. You know, going from 2 to 1 to less than that, 4 retaining walls to 2, not changing the character of the slope, I think is a good thing. So with that, and I also need to include the information in the supplemental packet.
Thank you. Any other comments to the motion? Okay, thank you. Please vote.
Motion passed 5-0.
And there is a 10-day appeal period. We'll go on to case 6B. Will the clerk please open the public hearing?
Hearing advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider agenda item 6B regarding case Z 2007-70578, applicant, City of Thousand Oaks, request to allow a zone change from RE, rural exclusive, to RE20, rural exclusive, 20,000 square feet minimum lot size, or such other zones as may be deemed desirable by the City Council. Location, parcels bounded by Rancho Road and Hillcrest Drive. Recommendation, Planning Commission recommend the City Council approve the zone change from RE Rural Exclusive to RE 20 Rural Exclusive 20,000 square feet minimum lot size.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chang. Would you like to give the staff report?
Good evening, Chair Reynolds and members of the commissions. And for your consideration tonight, a zone change application has been filed, and the request is to change a zone from RE to RE20 or other zones as may be deemed desirable by the City Council. If you can turn your attention to the screen in front of you. And the subject location is at bounded by Hillcrest Drive to the south, and bound by Rancho Road to the north, east, and west. And on the bottom right-hand corner is where the Colina Middle School is. And this area is where the zone change area is. And staff would just like to provide a little background to the project. And back in last year, September 11, 2007, at the City Council meetings, City Council considered an appeal application of a land division as well as a precise plan design application for houses at 718 Rancho Road. And for that particular project, the applicant wants to subdivide a lot into 2 lots and also build 2 single-family houses. And at that time, many residents felt like a larger minimum lot size for the Hillcrest Rancho areas. They recommended a larger lot size for that particular area. And for the existing zoning is RE, which require 10,000 square feet. And the residents felt like they should require a larger lot size for that particular area. And at the end of the meeting, City Council directs staff to evaluate a possible zone change for that particular neighborhood, and also possibly considering a moratorium on subdivision also, as well as for the development. And September 25th, 2007, at the City Council meetings, and staff provide council member with information on lot size, subdivision potentials, as well as a non-conforming law status for that particular neighborhood. At the end of the meeting, council adopt an interim urgency ordinance which declare a moratorium on any developments or subdivision of within that particular neighborhood for 45 days until November 9, 2007. And on October 23, 2007, at council meetings, council issued a report of measure taken during moratorium. And basically, this is a report that describes what our steps are taken during that moratorium, and the information council received will determine whether an extension of the moratorium is warranted. And after that, council adopt urgency ordinance number 1492, which extend the subdivision moratorium for a 10-month and 15 days period till September 25 of this year. At the end of that meeting, council also adopt a resolution number 2007-117, basically declaring its intention to consider a zone change from RE to RE20 or any other zones that council think will be desirable for the parcel located bound by Rancho Road as well as Hillcrest Drive. And the role of Planning Commission is to provide to evaluate the zone change requests and provide a recommendation to the city council. And basically, Planning Commission has 2 alternatives. The first one is to approve a zone change from RE to RE20 or any other zones which is consistent with the general plan designation for that area, which is a low-density residential. And the second alternative is to deny the zone change, basically retain the existing R-E zoning. And for this project, staff has prepared an environmental study as well as environmental documents. And the environmental study concludes that there's no significant impact to the environment for this zone change request, and therefore a negative declaration was prepared pursuant to the state requirements. And during the environmental preparation notification period, staff did not receive any comments regarding the negative declaration. Staff would just like to provide a little background about the Hillcrest and Rancho area. This particular area is about 40 acres, and existing zonings R-E, which requires minimum lot size to be 10,000 square feet, and the minimum lot width for each lot needs to be 80. For the RE zoning, the requirement is that you need to have at least 20,000 square feet in order for you to have horses or keep horses. And currently there are 81 lots in the areas. And out of the 81 lots, 50 lots, or approximately 62%, are larger than 20,000 square feet, and 31 lots are smaller than 20,000 square feet. Staff recommends the zone change to RE20 for the Hillcrest Rancho neighborhood instead of existing RE zoning. And basically, R-E-20 means the minimum lot size for a single lot needs to be at least 20,000 square feet, and the minimum lot width shall be 100 feet wide. And the proposed zone change will maintain the existing larger lot size, as like staff mentioned before, that 62% of the lots in the Hillcrest Rancho area are larger than 20,000 square feet. So the RE20 will maintain the larger lot size, also will reduce the number of subdividable lots, which you will see in the next few slides. And this is a table which telling the commissions what's the subdivision potential under the existing zoning. Under the existing zoning, there are 18 lots out of the 81 lots that could be subdivided, which will create 26 additional lots, and the total potential for the lots in the area will come out as 107. Basically, that's existing 81 lots plus the new lots 26. It comes out as the potential 107. And that's the maximum potential of lots that could happen in the existing RE zoning. However, under RE20, which is the proposed zoning, only 2 lots could be subdivided, which will yield 4 additional lots, and the total lots under RE20 will be 85, basically just 4 more additional lots than the existing. And staff is recommending to change the zoning to R-E20 because the zoning will maintain the existing development patterns and standard except the lot size and width. Basically will require larger lot size and larger minimum lot width. And the R-E-20 zoning will also maintain the semi-rural characters, and is also compatible with the zoning on the east side of Rancho Road. And the east side of Rancho Road is also RE20, which will be consistent. And the last thing will be RE20 will help retain the horse or equestrian use in the area, since you need at least 20,000 square feet to have horses. By changing the zoning to R-E-20, basically will retain the opportunity for the property owner to maintain horses and to enjoy the equestrian use. And staff would just like to address a little about the non-conforming uses. If the RE20 is adapted, there will be 31 lots that will be become legal non-conforming lots because their lot size is less than 20,000 square feet. However, the non-conforming status will not affect the use of a property. For example, if a vacant lot is less than 20,000 square feet, they could still build one single-family house on it. And for those existing lots with less than 20,000 square feet, those lots could still add on, basically do a room addition to the house, and also do other improvements such as swimming pools or patio covers. Basically, the non-conforming status will not affect the use of the property, besides the subdivision-wise. In conclusion, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend the following to the City Council. First is to approve the negative declaration number 264, and second is to approve the zone change from RE to RE20 for the Hillcrest Rancho neighborhood as shown in the staff report, as well as shown in the PowerPoint presentations. And this concludes staff's presentations, and staff is ready for any question.
Questions of staff? Commissioner Adam?
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Chang. Is there a maximum for the number of structures that would be allowed on a lot in an RE20 zone?
Basically, RE basically will allow one single family houses, and also RE will also allow guest houses, one guest house and other detached buildings. And there are development standards regulate how many guest house or how many detached building each lot can have based on the square footage. But the main is they can have one single family house and one guest house.
Thanks, Mr. Chang.
Any other questions? Mr. Town, you wanted to make a statement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to augment Mr. Chang's comments, farm cottages are also permitted in the RE20 zone, in addition to guest houses, and that is for employees on site.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I'll go to the cards. Mr. Sean Mosheri, if you'd come forward and state your name and city of residence. Excuse me, let me turn.
My name is Sean Moshiri. I'm a resident of Thousand Oaks, and I'm opposing the zone change. One of the main reasons is there's 31 out of the 81 homes will be non-conforming. Have you tried to finance a house non-conforming? No bank will give you a loan on non-conforming lots. So the residents that own those 31 homes is being robbed of their homes, basically by zone change. They try to sell those homes, they're going to have a hard time. They have a non-conforming lots. When they bought those lots, it was conforming lots, now it's non-conforming lots. And 31 out of 81, that's a big number that the City of Thousand Oaks is trying to kind of take that away from those residents who have those homes. Now, the posting was done towards the 20,000 square foot lots versus the 10,000 square foot lots, which is on the corner of Hillcrest and Rancho Road. The sign was put towards the 20,000 square foot lots. So basically, those people that have those homes, all of a sudden, overnight, they're going to have homes that are non-conforming. And all this was brought up to the city, and the reason this was adopted is actually basically to stop my subdivision, which there was no other way of stopping it by adopting this moratorium, which the city attorney advised the council to do at that time. So, because my project is done, I have another plan for that lot, and that's what's going to happen at that lot. I'm not doing subdivision at that lot anymore. So I don't know why there was nothing else pending at the city at that time. There was no application was taken besides my application. So basically, I request the Planning Commission to take a look at this as far as those 31 residents out of 81. That's a big number again, that are going to have non-conforming lots, which basically going to prevent them. They're going to have a very hard time financing those lots. They're going to have a very hard time selling those lots. I look at those lots, when I'm a developer, I look at them, and when I go to purchase lots that are non-conforming, I try to hackle on the price. I try to lower the price by saying you have a lot that's non-conforming to the area. So basically, I request that you deny this and go on and let those 31 people enjoy the homes that they bought when it was conforming lots. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions to the speaker? Thank you. The next card is Tina Fergoli, followed by Jerry Zuka. If you'd come forward and state your name and city of residence. And you have 5 minutes.
My name's Tina Frugoli, and I live at 720 Rancho Road. And first, I'd like to thank this Planning Commission for all the decisions they've made in the past that really have helped to preserve our neighborhood, and also for suggesting this rezoning in the first place. Thank you. If we really want to maintain the character of the Rancho area, this rezoning is crucial. Our neighborhood is one of the few remaining horse areas in Thousand Oaks, and Thousand Oaks is a city that's known for its horses and its rural qualities. The reason people choose to live in the Rancho neighborhood is the rustic atmosphere. Please support the people who live in the Rancho neighborhood by supporting the rezoning and rezone it to RE20. We have a petition signed by 87 residents of Rancho Road and Rancho Lane. And Vic also has a petition of 22 more people on Reynolds Court. That's 109 signatures from the immediate area. There's no question about what the residents want. We want to preserve what we have: horse property, large lots, and a rustic atmosphere. Please rezone the neighborhood to RE20. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions to the speaker? Thank you. Gary Zuka, followed by Jim Ruseger. Good evening, Mr. Zuka.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Zuka. I live at 720 Rancho Road. And again, I want to thank you for your work last year. And we wouldn't be talking about rezoning if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you very much. What Tina handed to you was the petition, and I'd like to speak a little bit about it, especially the map that we created to show kind of where the support is. So I'm just going to put this on. Okay, so Tina and I, we went around the neighborhood gathering signatures. Also Jim did and Vic did. And we gathered signatures in support of the rezoning, and we had conversations with our neighbors. And we met many of our neighbors for the first time in this process. From this experience, we learned a few things that I'd like to share with you. One of them is our neighbors love this neighborhood. They really do, and they're passionate about it. The second thing is that most of the people that we spoke to thought that we already had a 20,000 square foot minimum, a half acre minimum, and people were surprised that we even had this issue. The other thing is that almost everybody was in favor. We found 2 people that were tenants at some houses, and they didn't want to commit, but they didn't say no. And Tina and I actually found no one that was in opposition of this proposal. So if you look at this map that we provided there, what's in green are this is where people signed the petition. What's in yellow is vacant lots or vacant houses. Now, some of the areas we didn't get to, and that's another thing we learned. Some of our neighbors are really hard to reach. And we went around several times, and we just could never get in contact with them. But I bet we would even have more signatures if we finally got in contact with everybody. Okay, so if you look at our neighborhood, it really is actually, it has 2 zones. It has RE and RE20. Across the street from us on Rancho Road, it's zone RE20. Now, 30 years ago, similar circumstances brought that area to be rezoned to RE20. So what we're asking is for you to unify the neighborhood and make it one and basically protect the character of our neighborhood. The only other thing, I just wanted to respond to a little bit of what Mr. Moshiri said. In the previous city council meetings, I did an analysis of how many non-conforming lots are there in the RE20 zone right across the street from us. And it's 31% are non-conforming. And that exists as today. If we do this rezoning, we were going to have a 38%. It's not that different, and I don't see the negative impact of that. So that's just my point. So please adopt this rezoning, and If you have any questions about how we went about getting these petitions or any other questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Grumney has a question.
Hi, how are you this evening?
Hi.
On the empty lots over there, did you make any efforts to try and get in contact with those owners?
No, we didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Thank you very much. Mr. Jim Rugesager, and followed by Vic Abronzo.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the Commission, members of staff. My name is Jim Rugesager. I live in Thousand Oaks on Rancho Lane, and I gathered 36 of the signatures that Jerry just mentioned. I'm speaking tonight to reinforce staff's recommendation that the zoning be changed from RE to RE20. Of the 36 signatures that I gathered in the quest, there were 2 people who did not choose to sign the petition out of everybody that I approached. So it was pretty overwhelming. I was amazed at how long the process took, because everybody has a story and everybody loved to talk about the neighborhood. You know, they wanted to say how long they've lived there, or how they found the area, or how they grew up there, moved away, and then came back. It was amazing. Total strangers, a lot of these people, but they really were passionate. Almost without exception, everybody was not just interested in maintaining the neighborhood character and supporting the zone change, but they were, as Jerry said, passionate. They were very involved. I'm sure any number of them would have been here tonight, but they chose to sign the petition, and they're represented by their signature on those petitions. They were also, in my experience, they thought it was already zoned RE20, as was I. I was surprised that it was not. The support for the zoning change is not unanimous, but it is overwhelming in favor of the change. At least that's my experience, what I found. The neighborhood residents, including my wife and I, are very determined to do whatever we can to preserve the rural atmosphere of large lots, small homes, and plenty of greenery and landscaping. I'd like to thank you for your help and consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Grumney?
Okay, I'm curious. What were the reasons given of why they didn't want to sign?
One of the people that didn't sign had a lot that had a subdivision in the past. In fact, I think it's on the map with a little dotted line. And I don't know whether he thought that it might be subdividable again, although he and his wife both said they would never consider subdividing. But his wife signed and he chose not to. The other parcel, I think the party is here in the room, has a large acreage that is probably going to be subdivided, and chose to come and see what the effect is without making a commitment on the petition.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Mr. Vic Abronzo, followed by Laura Sanchez. And again, state your name and city residence, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members. My name is Victor Abronzo. I live at 1464 Reynolds Court, an area immediately adjacent to the subject area to the east and north. As has already been explained, I bring with me another 22 signatures from the 12 houses on Reynolds Court. To anticipate Ms. Grumney's question, the only dissenting individual dissented on the basis, not unlike Mr. Moshiri's comments, that despite staff's representations that being non-conforming lots would not have a material effect on the property, history has tended to show that they do have a material effect on the property, and I'm hoping staff is going to stand by their statements that were provided on the screen tonight, and out of an abundance of caution and under the California Public Records Act, I'll ask for a copy of those comments so that we can preserve the representation that those lots should not be materially affected by now being identified as non-conforming lots. I want to thank you for allowing us to participate in this process, and I would be glad to answer any other questions that you might have.
Any questions, Mr. Brunzo?
I thank you kindly.
Thank you very much for coming down. And the last speaker is Laura Sanchez.
Yes, I'm Laura Sanchez from 400 Rancho Road, and I want to thank the city and the council for coming up with this zone change. I am in favor of the zone change. I wanted to address the non-conforming. I have 18 years experience as a loan officer, and I do residential loans, and one of the lenders I use is World, which is now Wachovia, and there really isn't an issue. Anyone can get a loan. Having a non-conforming lot is not going to have them declined. They're going to be able to get whatever loan program that they want. And in fact, there was one situation where I had a borrower who had a non-conforming lot, and all they needed was to go to the city and get a letter that they could rebuild a single-family home on that, and they weren't declined at all. So I just wanted to address that issue, that I really don't think that it's a negative. So I am definitely for this. I'm very passionate about this neighborhood. I'm so fortunate to live in an area where everyone loves this neighborhood, everyone's passionate about it, and I would just feel really, really sad if this neighborhood was destroyed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe Commissioner Lund has a question for you, Ms. Sanchez.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for coming down tonight. We appreciate to have the expertise from the other side. But before you get away, because we have an expert right there with you sitting on or standing at the dais, I'd like to ask a question, and probably of our city attorney. There is a difference between a non-conforming lot and a non-conforming structure.
Yes, I was going to mention in staff follow-up that I think that there might be some confusion regarding a legally non-conforming lot and a legally non-conforming building. The purpose of the zone change strictly goes to lot size, whether or not you can subdivide your property. It has no bearing on the actual building in and of itself. It would be considered a legally non-conforming lot and not have no impact on the actual legality of the building itself. So just to confirm what you said, that it shouldn't have any impact.
Right. There isn't any impact. There isn't anyone that's will be able to get financing. And if anybody needs financing, I'm at 400 Rancho Road.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Sanchez, there's more questions. Commissioner,
I think I got answered, so I withdraw my request.
Commissioner Adams, you do have a...
For Council Noonan, have you been aware of any case where a non-conforming lot was somehow encumbered in its sale? I heard her mention something about you might need a letter up to the city, or...
Yeah, I'm not aware of any type of encumbrance on it. I know that sometimes when a person's trying to pull a loan, they'll have documents, or I'm trying to remember what it's called. Mr. Chang, do you remember? It's a certificate of compliance, right? It's called a certificate of compliance, and they'll get that to show that basically that it's a legal lot. Again, these are legal lots. They will still always be legal lots. They'll just be legally non-conforming with respect to the size of the actual lot.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sanchez. And I wanted to state that there are 8 statement cards, 7 in support and 1 opposed. And this time we'll go back to staff. Do you have any additional comments, Mr. Chang?
Staff has no comment this time.
Okay, then at this time I'll close the public hearing. It's time for discussion, motion. Commissioner Lund?
Thank you, Chair Reynolds. I think that the staff report was well prepared, the analysis was well done, and I want to thank the staff for their completion and their diligence in that matter tonight. I think while this may be disadvantageous to some, particularly Mr. Mashuri here this evening, I think that it's the right thing to do. I think what we have here is we've got 62% of the lots are in this particular area, as well as the lots across Rancho Road, are in conformance with what's proposed. So with that, I would recommend to the City Council to approve the negative declaration number 264. and recommend also that change of zone from RE rural exclusive to RE 20 rural exclusive, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size for the subject area. And the subject number is Z 2007-70578.
Thank you. Any other comments to the motion? Commissioner Fisher.
Yes, I would support that motion. I think this is outstanding for this particular area to preserve the look of it, and especially since directly across the street, being in conformance with that or similar to that makes a whole lot of sense. So I think this is great work by all.
Other Commissioner Adam?
Yeah, I'll support the motion for all the reasons given, plus I like the fact that it encourages the equestrian lifestyle. With 20,000 minimum required for horses, that's what this will do, and I think that's a lifestyle that's increasingly becoming threatened in Thousand Oaks, so bring out those horses.
Commissioner Grumney?
I also am going to be in favor of the motion, and I do want to thank the citizens who came down to participate. This is a great demonstration of how our system actually does work. So I want to thank you for coming down.
I also will support the motion, as Commissioner Adams said, especially keeping the equestrian feel. I know my property is 26,000 in the Canal Oaks area, and I think to maintain the equestrian flavor and to encourage the horses, it's important for that zoning. And again, we'd like to thank all of you for coming down. It's been a great experience, I think, on both sides of the dais. So with that, any final comments to the motion? None? Then final comments? Nope. Then I'll ask for a vote, please.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you. We'll continue on with the agenda. Are there miscellaneous items, reports, referrals at all, or a community development director's report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In terms of upcoming commission hearings on page 44 of your packet is the upcoming cases we have scheduled. We have 2 busy evenings coming up on June 23rd are the housing programs, which you have had an introduction to at a recent meeting, and then on July 14th we have 5 cases scheduled and are beginning to add cases to July 28th and in fact on into September already. Secondly, I wanted to mention in terms of cases that have proceeded to the City Council after your review or action. One of those is the Morningstar development, which the Commission did not support, or supported in part but did not support in its entirety. That case was heard by the City Council on May 27th, and the Council did deny that appeal, thereby supporting the Commission. And that's all I had at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes of the May 12th, 2008 meeting. Motion, Commissioner Grumney.
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of May 12th, 2008.
Please vote.
Motion passed 5-0.
Are there any AB 1234 reports? Then we'll go on to commission comments. Any commission comments? Then I will adjourn the meeting to June 23rd, 2008, and I hope all those fathers have a wonderful Father's Day. No. Commissioner Lunn.
Thank you, Chair Reynolds. We can't get out of here without thank you for the Happy Father's Day, but also you have a little special day coming up on the 17th, and if you'd like for us to sing now or to sing later, we just want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much. We'll adjourn the meeting.